Hi, YouTube. I'm Arwen, the professional joy seeker and the Barbara Walters wannabe. I am really excited because this is somebody I've wanted to interview for a while. I actually didn't meet her through YouTube. I met her through a static blog that goes out once a month done on Siobhan's Mirror. And Siobhan is a friend of mine from Austin. And she gets a lot of different tarotists to do taroscopes each month, and we do them typed out. Speaking of which, I think I owe her mine today. Oops. But that's how I first met this lady. And she's wonderful. I've watched her YouTube. I've subscribed. You should too if you're not, because they are freaking awesome. She's a tarotist. She is just a really fun, entertaining person and has on fleek eyebrows. I am talking about done. Jessi, say hello to everybody. Everybody, it's Jessi Huntenburg. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming. I'm Jessi Huntenburg. I am a tarot reader. I do yoga. I'm a witch. Anything woo, anything kind of zen, I'm all about it. And I'm practicing in the Northeast of the United States. And I got my blog. I got my YouTube. I got something else. Twitter. All the madness. I'm all over it.
Yep.
So
in the description box, you're going to find her Facebook, her fan page, her Twitter, her YouTube, her web page. So, and you do readings over the web, right? Do you do video web or do you do email readings? How do you do that?
I do right now primarily email readings. I'm looking to get into video readings actually after Mercury retrograde. Funny that we mentioned Mercury retrograde. I was trying to do anything launch wise or anything new, trying to squeeze it in before the retrograde, and I wasn't able to get this before the retrograde. So after the retrograde, I'm looking to offer video readings. Right now I offer email tarot readings, and I absolutely love it. I'm in love with it. It's fantastic and amazing.
Now, how long have you been reading? What's your history?
Okay, so I have been reading for roughly 4 years. I've been reading for others in a professional sense for the past year or so. And I've been offering email readings and readings on the web since last June.
No way. I thought you'd been doing this for eons. You're so polished and professional.
Thank you. I try my best. I turned 32 this November, and kind of like the end of the Saturn return, and I decided it was time to kick it up. So I mean, I have not tackled this lightly or casually. I've been very, very diligent.
Well, I'm so glad you did. Now, so you're either a Scorpio or a Sagittarius.
I am Scorpio. I am.
I was going to say because of the intensity, that made me think, 'cause I've got a Scorpio moon.
Yes, I know that from watching your taroscopes. So your weekly taroscopes. I have always very much been a Scorpio. And even before I read tarot or even identified as a witch, I was like, I am a Scorpio. Everybody I told, they're like in the non-initiated, non-astrology community, what are you? I'm like a Scorpio. And they just give me the nasty side eye. I'm like, but I'm okay. I promise.
I'm a nice Scorpio unless you irritate me. And
I was going to say, I'm a nice Scorpio. I'm a nice Scorpio right now. Just don't lie to me. If we can maintain honesty, we are good.
Right? Lie to me, dead to me.
Mm-hmm. I'm different now. I like to think that I'm evolved and I'm a little bit more flexible, but as a younger version of myself, when the lies happened, I was made a fool of, and my feelings were hurt. Rather than show my vulnerability, I got nasty as a kid. I learned a lot that way, though.
And Saturn returns. How was that for you? Would you like to do it again right away?
No. It was so incredibly intense and almost completely traditional in the fact that just everything, when I was 28, I got married, I had a kid, I started a new job, a new career path. It was just really, it was like a complete 180, and there was some crazy shadow work that had to go down about, with the family, with who I was, with all of my shadow aspects. It was a lot to take at once, but I'm glad I leaned into it instead of like put it off till the next Saturn return.
Yeah, talking about that, I didn't have that kind of education. So my Saturn returns actually happened at the time I was going through degree work in Wicca.
Oh my gosh, okay.
It was intense. But my second one is coming up. So, my astrologer, Julia Waters, and I, she says, okay, you're about 2 years out. Here's what we need to do. I'm like, okay, Julia, thank you. Now, witch, pagan, spiritual being. When did you first hear about witches?
I first heard about witches actually as a child. There's a book called The Witches 4 that my mom used to read to us, and it was one of those like scholastic. I don't know if you ever were familiar with those programs where they'd send like a book in the mail. Every month or so. And one of those books was called Witches 4 by Mark Brown. Like, you can't even get it anywhere. I looked at it. I have the old tattered copy. But it was just, I remember like asking for it over and over. And, there were illustrations of Victorian houses, bat wing sandwiches. And it was fun. It was with them and their 4 cats. And I think that was how I was first introduced. Like, it was a very, very, very young person. I'd say it was through Witches 4.
Very cool. I don't think I'm familiar with that book. Or it's a series or a book?
It's just a book. It's really obscure. And I know this because recently I'm like, I need another copy of this. I need to like spread this around. So like ask who knows about this book, like nobody. So unfortunately, I think I'm like the cheese stands alone with Witches 4. But apparently it was pretty formative, apparently. That was my first memory of witches, yeah.
Now it's Mark Brown and Witches
4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Witches 4. Oh, the Witches 4. Okay. I will have to see if I can't. I've got some librarian friends and see if we can't scare it up. Now, how did you come to be? How did you come to be a witch?
Well, it was a long and sinuous path. I mean, most of them are. Since the age of roughly 14, I identified as an atheist. I was just like this, and this concept of the patriarchal God is just not for me. And I couldn't get into the dogma. There was too many inconsistencies as far as I was concerned. I was approaching it from a very logical perspective. So I kind of like threw out religion at that time. And in the interim, even though I wasn't practicing any sort of religion, I was still pretty much a pantheist without really knowing it. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't believe in God, like the patriarchal God. I'm like, if there is a God, it exists in all of us and the energy of all of us. And, just spouting this without having any kind of specific identification with it. And I think it wasn't until I got, it was, I guess, a couple years before the Saturn return, we'll use this as a benchmark, why not, where I just started to open myself a little bit more in the way that I perceived things. So I think I began to get more in touch with my intuitive, my divine feminine side. I think I'd kind of like distanced myself from that for a multiplicity of reasons. And as I became more attuned to that and got more in touch with that, that's when I became curious about witchcraft. I started doing things really casually, like doing magical practices with not within any kind of tradition. And then a few years after that, I started actually studying witchcraft. I read books on Wicca and witchcraft. I tried to expose myself to as many resources as possible. And it kind of grew organically from there, honestly.
Very
it was
cool. Yeah,
it was definitely stages for me, stages of acceptance. It took a while because of who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we all I think many of us came to it that way, because I know if I look at mine, I was talking to trees at the age of 11 or 12 and getting responses. Never thought that was a weird thing. I read The Hobbit and then followed up with the Lord of the Rings trilogy at the age of 9 or 10, because I was a very avid reader, still am. Now, what's your favorite form? I think we all know, but what is your favorite form of divination? And let's do this. How about this?
Okay.
Do you have a form of divination that you go to for yourself other than tarot?
Yes. So tarot, definitely my favorite form of divination. But for myself, synchronicities.
Yes.
I am always paying attention to synchronicities, like on a daily, constant, consistent basis. And that is something that is just specifically for me. Like you can't do that for somebody else. That is very much like a personal divination system. And that's my jam.
It happened to me just yesterday. I can't remember because I'm getting blocked for whatever reason, or I'm old. But my husband and I were discussing something. We played Jeopardy in the morning.
I love Jeopardy.
On our Alexa. You do 6 questions, and it's one of our ways we start our day. And there was something in there that I happen to know the answer to, and we're pretty balanced on, he knows half, I know half. And then later that day on one of the sitcoms that he loves to watch, the same thing came up. It didn't happen a third time, and for me, it's got to be 3s. But when it's 2 and it's really obscure, that's like, okay, I'm going to be paying attention now. Yeah, but I love that you do synchronicities too, because for me, it can be a name, a repetitive name during the day. And then I'll get a brand new client and they'll have that name. Crazy stuff. So
that is crazy. And I remember watching a video where you were saying you had like a camel synchronicity experience. Yes. Okay. Arwen, I kid you not, on that day that I watched that video with your camel synchronicities, camels came up twice, and we had like a conversation about how camels store fat in their humps instead of like water, and how why is there even a thing, like why isn't that commonly understood? And I didn't want to say this to the people I was talking to, but I'm like, what is with the camels? This is crazy.
Right? I'm being hunted. Well, for me, one day it was pine cones, and it was actually on Instagram, and one of the people I follow on Instagram, Cycles, Cards, and Stars, something like that. It's a guy who lives actually in the Northeast. I think he's over in Jersey or South Pennsylvania.
I think he's real close to me, actually, like in the same place.
Yeah, his name's Chad, and he posted something with the Bonefire Tarot, and I was like, frickin' A, there's pine cones again. And my message was about seeds and how all the things I have going on are little seeds. So I mean, I got it at that point, but I was like, okay, universe, could you just, drop down like they do in the Hunger Games, just drop down a little capsule. I open it up and I get the message.
That would be so amazing if we just get messages periodically drop down from the heavens. Like, wait a second.
Right?
No, I can't do that. It's not going to be a good idea.
Ow, mail. Oh. Now we're going to go to the food question. Y'all know that I asked the Southwest food question, but I know she's up in the Northeast, and so you can only have it one way: fried or just sliced ring bologna. You may be a vegetarian. That'll be a no good question, but tell me.
Fried, sliced. Are we talking cheesesteaks here?
Ring bologna.
I don't know what you're talking about. How can I not know what you're talking about?
I may be calling it the wrong thing. It's like a sausage, but it's more like a sandwich meat that comes round in a ring.
Is it ring bologna? Because I know, what the hell is it called? It's like tiny. I can't even think of the name right now. I'm not familiar with that one, Arwen. I'm sorry. Okay. I feel like a failure of a Northeasterner.
I've got a backup. Apple pie or shoe fly or sticky bottom pie.
Shoe fly.
Yeah. And if y'all don't know what shoe fly pie is, it's a molasses-based, oh my God, can I eat 3 bites of this pie? It's so rich.
Yeah. And I love it. The rich, like the fudge, all of that. I mean, apple pie is delicious, but like, give me a good sugar pie and I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's, I used to work up in one of the Northeast states, and yeah, wow. But it will make me sick now, so I can only have like a little tiny bit.
I can only have a little tiny bit too, depending on the day, but I'll still choose it. I'll choose like the condensed little tiny bit over like the entire portion.
If y'all ever go up there, just ask. It's not really common in restaurants in most places. You have to be in a real specific area, but oh my gosh, it's good stuff. Now, is there an afterlife in your belief system?
This, honestly, right now, I don't think there is. And that's not to say that there isn't. I'm just not going to say either way because I don't know. And it's hard for me because I lived without the concept of an afterlife for so very long. And I got used to it. I'm like, okay, I've accepted death. Like I've accepted that that's the end. But honestly, for me, what seems to be the most realistic, at least in terms for me, is the idea of reincarnation. Now, that's something that I can't necessarily make sense of, but it's something that feels intuitively accurate. If there were any kind of afterlife for me, just because from what I know and what I can see, like in the nature that we exist in, everything does, it revolves in cycles. And I've just heard too many stories about like past lives and like children recalling past lives in eerily accurate detail. And they did a whole study down in, I think, West Virginia, probably like 15 years ago about, past life recollection in children under the age of 5 or something like that. And like, I read the study and it kind of blew my mind. So I can't really just I can't just cut that off and say, no, that's definitely open for me, that concept.
Yeah, I read, it may have been the same thing, but the thing that stood out for me was a young girl who came to her mother in the kitchen and said in German or in a German English that she was tired of being a kinder. When would she be an adult?
That's crazy.
and the fact that she used the German word, was really telling.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this like a native English speaking child that said kinder?
Yeah, her mother was second or third generation German, German American. So she wasn't, they didn't speak German.
Okay.
But she used the word kinder, and there were some other, I believe, German words in there, but it was really interesting because I'm sure I've been told that repetitive dreams are often snippets of a past life.
Mm-hmm. Who knows? I've had some prophetic dreams before. So again,
cool.
Not anything even major. Just like, not even like, prophetic in terms of something intense that was going to happen to me, but just a pretty normal occurrence, which again, opened the door for me. I'm like, well, is time linear? Like, do we revolve in these cycles? And so, yeah, I'm still.
I think that's a big thing that people don't even realize, that psychics get little, like when I was reading for people on the 1-900 line, if somebody's dead relative came back, they weren't saying, I love you, blah, blah, blah. They were saying things like, don't move the big pots. Watch your nephew. He's going down the wrong road. Really mundane stuff. And my deal was, you came back all this way. Aren't you going to, declare your everlasting love, tell them you're sorry for whatever? No.
I know, it's just the normal everyday occurrences, which I find kind of poignant in a way. Like that's the important stuff, is the simple things. So I enjoy that.
Now, let me ask you this. We're going to the deserted island. I keep calling it a desert island, but the deserted island is here. You can take 3 tools. Switch that up too. You can take 3 tools. What do you grab? What are your priorities?
Okay. Tools. And I'm not going to go the practical route. I'm just going to go with like the connection that I have here. Tarot deck. And I think it would have to be the RWS because I learned on it. It is the most universal and it's like I'm most fluid reading with it. Secondly, I would bring what would I bring secondly? I had it in my mind just a second ago. Oh, paper and pen. If those are tools, if those are considered tools, I need to have something to write with. That is very important for me in my practice, the writing aspect. And I would bring, even though I don't know how to use these, this is a little bit practical, but flint, so I could create fire. Gotta bring some flint, because I was thinking, like, I need to bring a candle, you know, I need to bring incense, I need to bring all of the fire elements that I can incorporate into my practice. I'm like, what you can do is just bring the fire starter, make the fire, find the herbs in nature and make your incense, and like just have the fire starter and I'll be good to go.
I'll have to put in the description box the link to the Amazon. I was sent a necklace to review, and it's called like the Bushwhacker Fire Starter or something. And it's literally just, it looks just like one of those little primitive, oh, isn't she surfer cute necklaces. But when you can take it off, and there's a flint and a striker on it, and you can actually use it to start fires.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's like, I got this.
Yeah.
So what herbs are must-haves in your kitchen and in your altar room? We'll do 3.
Okay.
So something like double duty.
These are the 3 that I was that I had already figured out, but I also saw a video, which these were apparently your 3 and someone else's 3. I love cooking, and I use salt in my practice for, holy water and blessing. So definitely salt, pepper, and cinnamon, because cinnamon is one of the most versatile spices there are as far as like magical correspondences and like practical cooking use. So yes, those would also be my 3.
I love it. I should do maybe I'll do a tag that we'll see what. And thank you for doing that. You did one of the, either one or both of the tarot tags, didn't you?
I did the one with the 10 questions. I was really interested in doing the 15 question tag, but like a week prior, I had done the 10 question tag that I think you made the 15 question tag in response to. So yes. I was like, I just did that tag. I'm like, I'm going to lay low. And then lo and behold, you had another tag. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do this tag too. So, and I really liked the 10 question tag because it was like a little bit more like, spirituality kind of, woo-woo driven. So I was drawn to it for those reasons.
Well, I have an idea today, and I'm going to pitch it to you and other YouTubers that are tarot YouTubers. I would like to see us do a year of tarot tagging, where one YouTuber every month does one, and then the rest of us, like a group of 12, we all do it so it spreads it out more.
That is a fantastic idea. I, for one, would be totally on board with that. So
good, you got me.
You got one. You got one.
Jessi,
I think
doing May. Okay.
Yes, I know, and probably Wild Moon Woman, Elise. I don't know if you're familiar with her. I just saw a video of hers where she's like, I love all these tags, so she would probably be down too. I don't want to speak for her, but
yeah,
I'll
make a list. I'll tag you and or email you, and then maybe we can start getting other people in, because I think if we did it with like each of us did a contest each month.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to get the tarot community really engaged, and I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I really do. And I know that I'm not the only one who would think that. So let's do it.
Well, I've got 2 of Owls is up next, right after you. I've got him on. And so Chase, I know you were in the chat room. I'm going to pop you too, buddy. So I don't know if you've caught 2 of Owls yet or not, but he's newer and he's really, really fun.
I just subscribed to his channel. I have yet to delve into it. I just heard of him because of the tag that he just put out there. So I'm looking forward to watching some of his stuff. And it's cool that he's coming right after me too. So
yeah, he's easy on the eyes, girl. Really easy on the eyes.
It's never a bad thing, right?
That's so bad. Now, how do you intentionally honor or care for your deity? If you can talk about it. Some people can't.
I tend to be pretty open about this stuff. I'm okay with it. The Morrigan is my matron, and I chat with her, and I honor her by dedicating ritual to her, specific rituals to her, and dedicating specific rituals to communicating with her. So you can call it the astral, you can call it like a guided meditation state, like whatever you want to call it. But we get together and we have a chat. And depending on how well I've been doing, the tone of that chat changes. And I approach in humility. Each time I do approach in humility. But I remember when I first started talking with her, she would, I would approach in humility, and she'd like bring my chin up and she's like, don't look at the floor. She's like, always look people in the eye. And that was like a really like powerful message to me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I show her dedication through like personal experience and conversation.
Very
that makes
good.
any sense.
It makes a lot of sense to me, and I really appreciate that. I had an encounter with a deity unintentionally. I did and still do have a form of agoraphobia as well as a panic anxiety disorder. And so going into a new place could be really, really hard for me. And I remember I had to go in, I was in a revelation, if y'all haven't heard this, I was in an abusive relationship in my 20s for 5 years. And it was during this time, and my partner had asked me to go to the store and get something, or said, you're going to the store and getting this. It was a store I wasn't familiar with, so I was almost to the point of throwing up. And I remember sitting there thinking, I've got to get this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And all of a sudden, I could feel myself wearing armor and had a spear in my hand, and I knew for a fact it was Athena.
That's amazing.
And I embodied that. I walked in. What I was going in to buy was like Cokes or beer or something really, really stupid. But it was really hard. And for those of you that have that kind of anxiety, listen to the Arwen. Find a therapist that you trust and work with them. You don't have to take the first therapist you get. Find one you like, then stick with them and do the frickin' homework. I didn't. It took me much longer.
It's, I will go through periods of depression, and I guess like partial agoraphobia, because the depression brings about a certain amount of level of anxiety. I'm very sensitive to people's, vibes, and I can become very self-conscious. And this is one of those things that it's like a domino effect. So like if one thing is triggered, like all of the other things start to, fall in that way. And when I was younger, like I didn't ask anyone for help. And it would get to these horrible places. And until I learned, I'm like, you are a human being. You help so many people, and you're always there holding space for people. Like, allow yourself to ask for help and get the help that you need so you can be okay. It's not a weakness to say,
not
like, I'm struggling over here. I'm having a period, a really rough period, and I could use some support. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah, and because I know that in the Wiccan community, in the pagan community, we are a fringe attractor. We attract people who are hurting, and I hate using the word broken because that makes us focus on the broken parts, but who are looking for different ways of being. And that's why they find paganism. It helps them find that different way. It doesn't mean you ditch all the other modalities because they work. And it's a 6 of coins for me, right? The 6 of coins is, and you'll hear me talking about on my tarot scopes, we're great at giving. We suck at receiving.
I know. So hard. I'm like, fine. No, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. What do you need? I'm fine.
Somebody just put up something about being an angry empath. It's like Crow Moonfeather. Sorry, baby, I don't know your name offhand. I'll find it and actually try to link it. But it's about empaths learning that they don't have to be, oh, come here, baby, for everybody.
Mm-hmm. It's too much.
It is. And then we burn out, and then we're no good to ourselves or the people that actually really need us.
And that's like a big theme that comes up for me, like in the tarot readings and that I do, and the, you know, the things that I talk about. And I know I'm not alone here, which is like, you know, allow yourself time to care for yourself, because if you don't, and if you don't take a stand, because sometimes there's going to be pushback. If you're always giving, when you say, I need some time for myself, don't be surprised if people in your family like upset by that, because they become used to this dynamic of you giving, them taking, them taking. You know, sometimes to be like, I need time, and I'm sorry if that pisses you off, but I'm not good for me and I'm not good for you either. So like, I need to fill up so I can be good for everybody.
Yeah, beautiful point. Beautiful point. Now, let me ask you this. Who's the first YouTuber you ever watched? Do you remember?
I have to say probably like the first like witchy tarot YouTuber I ever watched.
Yeah.
It was probably Kellyanne Maddox, frankly.
Mm.
Just because, you know, the wormhole that I traveled down, you know, I began approaching this from an academic place, you know, a place of Jungian archetypes, you know, a place of, you know, psychology and things like that. I studied critical theory in college. So that led me to her, because she does incorporate, you know, the more secular aspects of, you know, consciousness into her witchy woo and tarot situation. So I'm pretty sure she was the first one that I watched, and then I was like, okay, I can get down with this. This is a good transition for me, being like an atheist for a decade to like coming into this. It created a bridge that like opened it up for me in a way that I was comfortable with.
Yeah, Kellyanne, I just adore her. I got to interview her, and it was so much fun. And in the back of my head, I have this idea of getting like 3 or 4 of us who are tarot folks into one Google Hangout. But I get really overwhelmed with multiple people in a hangout. So I'm going to have something like, okay, I'm holding the talking stick now. And when I'm done, I will virtually pass it. Okay, Jessi, it's your turn now. And you'll have to pick up your talking stick so that we can all visually see.
It is. I am like a new co-host of Spread This Witches with Avalon Cameron and Alora Rain. And we'll have a guest on. So like, this is coming on Monday. It gets wild. And it was like, the first one I did was last Monday. It was the first time I'd like ever done it with that many people. And I'm like, oh, okay, you can go. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to take a back seat for a second, because I need to figure out like the flow of this before I start just diving in and trying to speak my piece.
I just saw your note on that, and I'm like, ooh, cool. If I don't have an interview, I'm so going to watch that, because I love spreads, right? I'm always creating them. So I think you were the one that said that you're like creating spreads all the time, but you don't always share them.
Yes, I create probably like 3 spreads a week. And a lot of this is born out of my own, you know, my own personal spirituality and personal questions. So like, these spreads come organically based on the questions that I'm facing. And then I'll take elements of those personal spreads and pull them to make a spread that's like applicable for me or for other people, so I can read to other people. So I love making spreads though. I don't even have to think about it. Like it just comes, and I'm really happy about that.
Well, I've got a
So
challenge for you then, Jessi. I
Okay.
want you to find, okay, this is it. Universe, I want you to put a quote in front of Jessi. So today or tomorrow, you're going to see some quote. Create a tarot spread based on the quote.
Oh, I already got it.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
Not the spread, but the quote. I already got the quote. Do you want the quote?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Together looks good when you're alone, looks good when you're together. It's about like, isn't it good? It's from a song. It's about like, you know, grass is always greener situation. It's one that always was like really just like good wordplay, and it just kind of stuck in there. So that's the one that pops up. So that should be an interesting spread. Now I'm excited.
Now let me ask you this. What do you do for self-care?
For self-care, I definitely take ritual baths. I I read. I go for walks. Like if my husband and I both have a day off, and I just be like, can I have a couple hours? And I walk the earth. Like I'll walk through the city, and I just allow myself to let go. For me, it's one of the most naturally meditative things that I can do. I feel like I'm engaging myself physically, but then that drops behind. And as I'm paying attention to like the multiple stimuli, like I just get into a zone of thought. We're talking about, this is another form, I guess, of divination, where things become clear. And sometimes it takes a while, but I'll end my walk with some clarity on something that I've been mulling over, which is great.
Well, and I have always been a walking meditator. That's my thing. It's like I'm talking to myself here, because I'll go out with, like, maybe just in the back of my head, I've got this is scrambling around back here, but I really just want to go out. And as I walk, something will trigger. I mean, when I lived in Austin, it would be like a piece of graffiti would say something. Go, oh, that's my answer. Thanks. But really, you'd really kind of just get into this zone, and that's when the magic happens.
The magic does happen. And I think what's awesome about walking in a city is you are just immediately exposed to a multiplicity of lives being lived simultaneously in completely different ways.
Yeah.
And it makes it really easy for me to slip into it. This person doing this, doing this, doing this. And all of a sudden I get this conception of like, oh my God, like everybody in the world is doing something different right now. And that just like puts me into the zone.
Yeah. I call it the boom moment, or it's like, boom. Oh, cool. And then of course it doesn't stay with me in that crazy, wonderful moment of clarity, but I still have the concept later.
Yes. Which is, it's good to have the concept to know what you're experiencing when it happens.
So we're getting close to the end. So let me look at the questions, because I'm trying to mix them up, and I want to see, what type of magic do you like doing the most?
I like doing, I guess this one, what type of magic do I like doing the most? Would this be considered, I like shadow working.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's considered like specifically magic. That's probably my favorite. Second favorite, I definitely do manifestation magic. And I do that not because I feel like a consistent need for things, but because when I do that magic, I am able to maintain focus that I'm otherwise not able to maintain. Like I have so many different interests, and it is a job for me to like pick one thing, focus on one thing, and just kind of try to cut out the white noise. And that type of magic helps me do that. It makes me, create a foundation and actually build something, rather than just swirl around like a ditzy person, just like, I want to paint today. Okay, I want to draw today. I want to write something. I don't like it. Well, maybe I'll work on it next week, and like just not getting anything done. So
I love that, because I've got an Aquarius rising, so I'm kind of scattered a lot. And I'm like more of I wish I was an octopus sometimes. This arm could be writing, this arm could be typing edits, this arm could be working on that new book, just everything. And most of mine would be writing.
Yes.
Now, ghost story time. Do you have a ghost story you can share with us? This question I will always ask y'all, anybody that's studying up for your interview. I'm always going to ask you, because it's one of my faves.
Okay, so this happened a really long time ago when I was a kid. So it's specious. Like whether or not this is legitimate or like I can like still maintain connection with it. I recall watching when I was watching Ghost. I was watching the movie Ghost, and it was the time at which he was learning how to move objects, and I could have sworn, and my mother was here, and also two other people were here, so I was not alone in this to back this up, and we all saw it at the same time. And a young girl who I was there with, her grandfather had died about a week before. And they said that they just felt something. They felt something in the house. And like a little toy horse that was sitting on an ottoman next to us just came out, hovered, and dropped. And we were all just like, we all just completely
Oh my God, yes.
we completely lost it. So that was like, I don't see spirits. I have a really good friend who sees dead people like everywhere all the time. And, you know, like he'll look off to the side and then come back to conversation. And I know when that happens, there's a spirit over there somewhere that he's seeing and he's trying to like not pay attention to so we can continue to have the conversation. But that's not a gift that I have. I don't commune with spirits.
You're a Scorpio. It will come. I say this with love and with I'm sorry. And something that I've done before is I've done readings for spirits to see. And I actually tried that with my mom. And the first card I got up was basically a go away. I'm resting. It was the Four of Swords. And I was like, sorry, Mom.
All right, I'll leave you alone now.
Now, everybody remember, you need to subscribe to Jessi if you aren't. She's just adorable. And she's very authentic. And that's one of my key things. I want authenticity when I watch something and kindness. You know, I don't like watching the mean ones. And some people aren't mean. They're just intense and they have to say their piece. It just doesn't speak to me really well. Jessi's does. So subscribe to her channel, please. And also, don't forget that at the top of the hour, I'll be back with 2 of Owls. So my final question to you, Jessi, is this. What's the one piece of advice you would give to someone just starting out on their own path?
Make sure that you maintain your center and your own voice as you're learning about paganism and witchcraft. If you know, there'll be some resources out there that tell you have to do it this way. You know, you have to do it this way. You know, resources in specific traditions where things are, you know, they're very regimented as far as how things happen because it's a tradition. If it's not something that jives with you, don't feel pressured to do it. Kind of listen to yourself. You know, it's a period of exploration. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to initiate right now. You don't have to initiate to any specific tradition. You know, allow yourself to explore the giant, multifaceted world of paganism and just wait until something feels right to you. Just so this practice is yours at the end of the day. And it needs to resonate with you so that you can find that connection and allow yourself to explore that and don't feel like you need to be hemmed in.
Beautiful. That's very, very good. Someday I'm going to gather all these up and make them into one video so everybody can see the snippets of, because it's such, everybody has there's a theme. You can see it weaving in and out of authenticity and doing what's best for you. And I love that. It really speaks to me. Now, when I say goodbye, you know, I always say one phrase. How do you say goodbye to folks on your videos?
Thank you very much. I love you all. And I hope to see you soon.
See you, y'all. Don't forget, top of the hour, Chase from 2 of Owls. Bye.